Alrighty then, welcome back to Universe X for another video pertaining to Dragon Ball Super, the card game. So for people that have been on my channel for a bit, you guys know there's one deck out of set 11 that I have been on since almost the start. Now I initially made the archetype breakdown, didn't really like it, then I tried it, took it to a case tournament, did a whole deck profile and tournament breakdown of that. I've been making lots of videos about it after that, but lately I've been kind of calming down. I've been really getting to the next set, you know, the Vicious Rejuvenation. Been trying to turn out content about that, but there is still the same deck that I've been practicing with, you know. I've been trying to perfect my list before I go to Connecticut at the end of this month, and that is Xeno Harambe himself, Dark Broly. And I've been spamming the Facebook group with this, and just by the way, in case you don't already have membership to it, Dragon Ball Super Community Card Game Discussion Group. Again, there's some words mixed around there. Largest forum for our card game. You should join in the description. But I also still stand this deck, and I see it getting a lot more popularity. Like, I used to feel like it was kind of just undervalued hard. It was like considered 1.5, and now a lot more people are kind of seeing its worth. So without further ado, you know, I'd like to give credit to all the people who are currently topping with this deck. You know, you got your Giancarlos, you got your Rashads, you've got your like Eddies. You got people who are topping with this. Mr. Urita, I'm not gonna forget you. Don't worry about it. I won't. But you got people topping with this, and I just want to get back to my favorite deck of Vermilion Bloodlines, and it's kind of still my favorite deck going into the next set. Now, here we go. This video is not going to be an overall, you know, broad overlook to the just overall mechanics of the deck. I've done a bunch of videos. I've done at least like 4 or 5 videos on Dark Broly. I've done a bunch of games on camera. This video is specifically going to be about the new addition that we're getting in the Masters deck, and that is Dark Broly Unbridled Destruction. It's been hype. I made a meme. I've just been really happy to be able to work with this card. And so I want to talk about not only what it does for the deck, but what it kind of means in terms of different avenues you can now take. So first, we're gonna actually get in and read its effect, you know? Dark Broly, Unbridled Destruction. It is a 7-drop red card, all right? Only one specified red, but that doesn't really matter much. Now, it's got Deflect and Unique. Deflect is the most important part about this card, and I'll get back into that later. EX Evolve 2. On a Dark Broly's energy cost 2 or 6. So that's either the new red one from this set, which we really shouldn't be talking about too much, or it's going to be one of the 6 drops, which, yes, you know, they're in the deck. Now, its permanent is that this card is also treated as a black card in all areas, which is interesting because I believe this singular effect opens up the floodgates for other cards. I was talking in my speculation video, my last video, about what if we had a blue Super Saiyan God Trunks that also counted as black in all areas. That way, you know, you could use him in a black deck more effectively, but you can also use them as the top end for these future Trunks blue decks, things like that. I think this particular line has a lot to do with some future card design. But back to this card, auto, if your opponent's life is at 3 or more, and there is a card under this card, when this card is played, switch to active mode. Then your opponent may choose up to 1 battle card each from their hand, battle area, and or drop area, and send them to the warp. If they sent 2 or fewer cards to their warp, choose up to 1 card in your opponent's life, place in the drop area, and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. Alrighty then. So we're gonna get into this deep dive, and we're gonna break down this card because I'm not gonna say I'm petty, but I feel a little shafted because a lot of people are making Dark Broly content, and I legitimately feel like I was one of the first people spamming out videos about Dark Broly, and I just kind of want to get back into that because it's my pet too. So I just haven't been to these online events or anything. So getting into Dark Broly, there's a couple things that are cool. The Deflect is great because Deflect really hinders, for the most part, but 1, maybe 2 colors. First and foremost, blue, and then after that, yellow. Now, with yellow, yes, this does dodge Crusher Ball or Giant Ball like effects, you know? This does slide under certain things, but what it does for yellow is a little less than blue, because against yellow, Dark Broly doesn't necessarily have the worst matchups. Yellow tends to have a lot of extra cards in the deck. And so when you have a bunch of extra cards, you can only negate so many times with so much energy. Cough, cough, Mecha Frieza kind of got a little bit more reach than that. But you can only do so much before you need to start comboing against these 30Ks. And when they hit, they hit. But against Blue, Blue is very much so able to do a lot of things to Dark Broly as an archetype, whether it's Heroic Prospects, which makes it pretty much not advisable to swing until you're at 6 energy, in which case the blue deck should have already taken over, or God Sealing on your more meaningful cards. They may not God Sealing a Dark Broly unless they have to, like unless you're about to warp something off the board they don't want, like a Boonie or something, but they may, actually probably will, warp whatever, or God Sealing whatever you're trying to overwhelm. You know, you remove your entire graveyard for a Demigra? No, because once it goes from the board, I might not be able to remove it, so absolutely not. So it makes your 2 energy investment cards a little rough. Now you can still play your Mecha Gaboras underneath God Sealing. You can still play, I mean, that's pretty much for the most part it. Everything else is subject to your opponent allowing it to walk or not. But this card has Deflect. And what this now means is that you can play a card that they're not going to be willing to hit with the God Sealing, such as your Ravager. Remove a card from your hand, remove a card from your grave. Then you're going to be able to swing for 30k, pay 2, put this Deflect boy on the board. He will now be able to ping them, because I'm going to say ping them like it's almost a certain thing, because Dark Broly, if there's one thing that Dark Broly is monsters at, it is spot removal. Dark Broly has some of the most consistent spot removal in the format. Whether you're playing a Demigra, whether you're playing a SR Dark Broly, whether you're playing a max power Kamehameha, this deck has some very consistent spot removal. So there are many times where if you need to ping them for 1 damage crit, you can easily go into the SR Dark Broly, then pay 2, put this on top of it, and force them to take that damage. So there's a lot of times you're gonna be able to do that. Also, because some decks may not put cards into the grave as early as you need, or as they might need, there are times where even your Ravager will be able to push the battle card out of their grave, and then you can go into this guy to crit them if you don't want to push with the Ravager first. So there are just a lot of situations where this guy is going to slide right into blue decks. And the thing about him is, since he's going to untap with his effect, there are so many turns where you're going to produce a Dark Broly, turn sideways, play this guy, get in a crit damage, swing again. That could potentially be 3 damage, 1 unavoidable and 2 30k swings. And this isn't counting your leader swing. This isn't counting an overwhelm you might already have on the board like Demigra. This isn't counting a free overwhelm that you could produce, such as Dark Mass Sand, well, sorry, not Dark Mass Sand, but Mass Sand, Brainwash No More. So there's a lot of opportunities that this card in itself presents. Now, moving back to more of a simple aspect of it, he is a 30k black card because of his permanent effect. So he's going to be 1 card that isn't necessarily dead that you have to slot into the deck just for the sake of it. Now, everybody has their different preferences of playing the Broly deck. I feel like certain builds have more dead cards than others, but it's all preference at this point. And so far, until we see some results where however you want to build the deck are at a tournament, which I think is going to happen very soon because a lot of people are playing Dark Broly now, so we're going to really start seeing innovations and kind of askew builds. But I think we're going to start seeing how the spreads break down, what the meta kind of build is for this deck. But you end up running a lot of dead cards, I feel like, at sometimes. There's some cards where you might be like, do I really want 3 TP Mass Sands? But you kind of end up kind of filling out the spaces if you need to. Mira, Assault from the Skies. Very good card. Do I feel like it's like A1 day 1 kind of? I'm not quite sure, you know. It's a great card, but you know, there's not exactly the best library to pull from for these 30Ks. This card fits right into the deck, 30k, enough said. Now, past that though, we're looking at this card that not only can force a ping, but it also can be massive in terms of just destruction in general. There are going to be small points. I haven't run into them as many times as I thought I would, but they have been crucial at times where your opponent's sitting at 3 life and they don't want to go down to Champa range against your board of Dark Brolys. And so in a time where they have 1 battle card and it's the one you want to remove, you know, they have one solid battle card, and they have cards in hand, they have stuff, you can force them to blow out those things. If they value that third life going down to 2 more than they value losing 3 cards, they will warp those 3 cards. And the funny thing is, when you read his effect, they have to choose a battle card. This means they can't be like, oh, okay, I'll warp a battle card from grave, a battle card from the field, and I'll warp this extra from hand. No, if they're holding onto a bunch of negates in their play for next turn, and their play for next turn is the only battle card, to fulfill this, they will need to get rid of that play. Do not let anybody sneak you on this. Otherwise, they will remove a card from field, a card from grave, and then try to remove an extra card, and you can just call them. They'll take a life, or they'll remove that battle card. So that's actually a pretty cool effect. Now, this is going to open up so many things for the deck. Being a red card, okay, you are now running Champas, you're now running this guy, you are likely running balls. You have enough red cards now to start thinking about whether you want to make a red splash. Now, personally, I'm not exactly on board, but I am still testing all avenues because I really do want to feel like I'm running into Connecticut with the best Dark Broly list I can possibly run. So if you want to, you can start running red splashes. This could potentially mean more defensive options such as the Almighty Topo. I think he's a little heavy for this deck in terms of defense, but you could run him. He is a 5k combo card, if anything. Now, this also, him being a red card and above 25, opens up cards like Heartfelt Plea. If you haven't heard about it, you're lying. No, I'm serious. If you're competitive and you've been on Untap, or you have a team of competitive players, you've probably heard about this. Heartfelt Plea only requires you to be able to sack a red card with 25k or more, meaning that when you awaken and you put this dude in the graveyard to sacrifice for Heartfelt Plea, it works. Just know that Heartfelt Plea can't be revealed with your leader, and you have to hard draw him. There's nothing you can do if he goes to the graveyard. So if you randomly mill with your deck, chances are you might miss him. So I believe you have to play the deck a little differently with your reveals, and kind of have a different mindset going in if you're going to try to exploit Heartfelt Plea. But yeah, this guy opens up a lot of avenues, and there's even more stuff, intricate levels of play to him. This pretty much really does boost the levels of oomph you have to go around people. There's decks like the New Trunks deck, well, old New Trunks deck, you know, old Trunks deck, new cards. And now with cards like this, one of the biggest strengths for that deck is that you were able to choose what life, like your opponent, you have to reveal the life that's happening, so you can't be crit, but you also can summon cards to ramp or bounce cards and defend yourself from your life. Well, since this effect allows you to choose, you're going to be able to look at their revealed life that has Trunks cards in it, or Goku's and Vegeta's, and you're going to be able to pick around that, hopefully miss those landmines, and let other cards get put in their hand instead. Brings a little bit more of the fight to you instead of them. Also, with some of these new decks flipping up life, if you see something cool in life, you're going to be able to choose it to crit it with this effect. And that's valuable. They have a super combo in life or a negate that you know is going to hinder your turn, crit it with this effect. Then start swinging, and they can choose which cards they want to put into the grave. Monsters. I mean, with things, they're just, I love this card. It is simple. I'm not even going to say it's a great card, but it opens up so many things with this deck. You can have turn 3 plays where you go into your leader, okay? And actually, that's a whole nother thing that I like about this. You can go into a turn with a Ravager up. Swing with the Ravager, okay? Pay 2, bring this guy up, crit them, untap, swing again, okay? Swing with your leader, activate battle, tribute this guy. That puts 2 cards into your graveyard to change up your math. And now, because you don't have the that on the field anymore, you can do all sorts of things. And also, because this guy overlays onto the Dark Broly, there's no longer a unique barrier between the Dark Broly under him and playing another one. So you don't even have to tribute him off. You could have a Ravager on board, swing, play this guy, untap, get its effect, swing again, remove, play another Ravager, remove something from their hand, remove something from their grave. This card allows you to sort of dance around the unique ability because the card is no longer face up on the field. And if he ever goes to the grave, if you tribute him or anything, you will put 2 cards in the grave, changing up the math even more. So between this card allowing you to potentially splash red, play more aggressive cards like Heartfelt Plea, be able to have a card that finally can press blue, not only through its crit damage, through effect, but through the fact that it has deflect and is able to then swing again. You're really going to be able to close your opponent down to the Champa threshold. Notice this guy says 3 or more life. You can play this at your opponent's 3 life, put them down to 2, and then any attack could be lethal back by Champa, and that is not to be underestimated. This card allows you to have reach. It is the official reach card for Dark Broly deck. You can play it multiple times, and there are going to be matchups where while Demigra is better and Demigra is able to accumulate advantage, or better yet, take away from their advantage turn by turn by turn, this card is going to be able to bring a much faster close to games because you are starting to burn them, you're starting to get an extra attacks, and you're actually able to push this guy through no matter what. So that is how I'm feeling about this. I am really looking forward to this card. I'm very excited to play it, and I think if you're a fan of Dark Broly, you should be too. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and leave any comments you have about this in the comments. I will be a little quiet on Dark Broly, I'm not gonna lie, until after Connecticut, because I'm doing a lot of practicing with it. I'm still formulating exactly what list I want to take, and yeah, I kind of want to keep some of my spice to myself, I feel like. But that being said, I'm just happy to play the deck. I'm happy everybody's playing the deck. I'm happy it's getting more popularity, and if you don't know your mirror match by now, I think you need to learn it because it is not easy, I'd say at least. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time inside Join Your Mersex. Later.